One of the things, Patty, that I think we don't always think about when we're hauling our RV is our tires.
Right.
And our tires are kind of important if
Yeah.
you're going down the road. And we're going to talk about some of the ways we can, alleviate potential problems
All right.
with our tires in this episode of Travels with Delaney.
The podcast.
Welcome back, everyone. My name's Patrick.
I'm Patty.
And we are joined on a different couch.
Yeah, different setup.
Yeah, we are back at Tall Pine Lodge. For those of you that don't know, we live in a 1,400 square foot log cabin that I think like 8 years ago when we moved in.
8 years.
I know, it's crazy.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
And actually, it'll be coming up on 9 in February.
Absolutely.
But most of the cabins back here had a name, and this one didn't, so we called it Tall Pine because we're surrounded by tall pines.
Yeah, there's the Ponderosa, there's Whispering Pines, there's all kinds. People had fun back here, naming their places. So yeah, we had to.
So we are officially out of the RV back home, hopefully for one last winter.
Yeah, if you're not in Indiana, you don't understand that. But in Indiana, it's getting cold now. Last night it was down in the 30s.
Yep.
And it just gets kind of uncomfortable, and you don't want your pipes to freeze and crack and break and have issues. So, yep.
Right.
So we're back.
We're back in the house. And you might say, well, why aren't you in the podcast studio? Why aren't we in the podcast studio?
Well, the podcast studio is in a little disarray. Because over the summer, it just kind of became the drop zone for eBay stuff. And so it just needs a little work. We need to get the death pile has overtaken. If you don't know what death pile means, it's all the stuff you buy that you want to list. It's overtaken that
hasn't been listed on eBay, yeah.
It's not all clean and wrapped and in a crate. It's just piles. Some stuff needs to be washed. Some stuff needs to be this and that. It's just like, oh my gosh, it's overwhelming. So yeah, we need to work on that.
Yeah, so we might find the podcast sofa one of these days.
Maybe by Christmas, maybe.
Maybe. So
it's gonna take some
So
time.
we are in our living room with the kitchen behind us.
Yeah.
Because we needed to get this podcast recorded, and I said, well, let's just do this. So.
Truman's between us, and Bessie's on your side. Our little Cavalier Spaniels, and. Yeah.
So, Patty, I was looking the other day on Apple Podcasts, we got a comment.
We did.
We haven't had a comment since almost a year ago.
Yeah.
So I was pretty excited. And
What'd they say?
So this one says, so fun and easy to listen to. This was from September 20th, so we're about a month late. But this is from Darcy Rose. I recognize Darcy, who comments on Facebook. Gave us 5 stars.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
This is what she said. She said, I absolutely love your YouTube channel, but love your podcast even more. I love that I can listen to you in the car and while I'm doing things around the house, and it just makes me happy. Patrick and Patty are so kind and knowledgeable and are just easy to listen to. Everything is very positive, and I love that in a world with so much negativity. It is so refreshing to know that I can turn on Travels with Delaney, the podcast, and be happy thinking about RV life. Thank you for your efforts. I know it's not easy, but you are appreciated.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Thank you, Darcy. I appreciate that. And I'm sorry it took us so long because we've been so busy. I don't always have time to go out and check for things like comments.
I think since, I don't know when, it's been a blur.
Life's
been a blur.
Blurs, since about June.
We've been go.
So I want to share another little story real quick before we get started.
Okay.
So a couple nights ago, my phone rang. And it was my friend, Russ Balberona.
Mm-hmm.
Now, those of you who followed us on YouTube years ago know that Russ and Carrie, friends of ours, had a YouTube channel called The Roads We Roam.
Yep.
Technically, I guess they still have it. And,
yep.
and Russ every now and then will put up a video.
Right.
And so we met Russ and Carrie like back in, I think it was 2019, and we just became great friends.
Yeah, we met him at the Grand Tetons and camped and had a good time.
So Russ calls me. We were on our way back to the camper after going out to dinner.
Right.
And he said, hey, he goes, I know we're always running into people that say they, watched your channel.
Sure. Yeah.
And we do the same thing. Like I had somebody come into the camp store this summer that said they loved our channel, but they actually found us through Russ and Carrie.
Right.
And so anyway, he says, I'm at this event out west, and there's a Tab 400 here.
Oh, yeah.
And he says, I just mentioned, I had a friend that had a Tab 400. He had a YouTube channel. She goes, Travels with Delaney. And she made the comment that she would love to run into us to say thank you. And he goes, I can make that happen. So he dialed me up, and he put Holly on the line.
Yes.
And Holly just thank you so much. I don't know if you
She
listened to
was
the
so
podcast,
sweet. Yeah.
but your kind words saying how our videos had really helped you out with your Tab 400 just means the world to
Yeah.
me. Because I'll be honest, as a YouTuber, there are times you think your efforts are
Frugal
yeah,
or
and
futile.
futile, yeah,
I'll get it
futile.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
and when you get comments like
It
Darcy's, and
makes you
you
think,
hear
oh,
from people
okay.
like Holly, and I know others of you,
Right.
I don't want to leave anybody out because several of you have
No.
told me that even this summer when you came to
Right.
Happy Acres. But
Yep.
I just want to say thank you for all the positive words
Yep.
because, like Darcy said, we're in a world with a lot of negativity,
Oh, unfortunately.
and
Yep.
I'm telling you, the trolls come out hard on YouTube.
Oh, they hit you hard. Yes,
It's one
they
of the
do.
reasons I love doing the podcast because people don't comment that often.
Right.
And usually if they do, it's positive.
Yeah.
So.
So thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But I noticed we're like really far into this episode, which means we need to get another episode of This or That.
Well, I was hoping you'd forget this
I
or that
did
because
not
you were
forget.
rambling on.
I know. I thought you figured that.
You were a rambling man.
Yeah. Well, Patty,
Yes.
this week,
Uh-huh.
if you had only enough water for one of these two activities in the RV,
Okay.
which one would you opt for?
Okay.
Your nighttime shower
Yeah.
or your morning hair wash?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
Only enough water for one of them. Can't do
Only
both.
one?
Yeah.
Oh, gee. Let's think this through. I think because I have like baby wipes just in case, we're like boondocking or something like that.
Okay.
So I think I could wipe my body's parts down with that. Not to get too gruesome.
Okay, this is remember.
And because I like to have nice hair. I like to have it clean. I don't like with short hair. I wake up and I look like I'm an alien with horns. So I'm going with hair.
Hair, wash your hair.
I'm
Okay.
going with hair.
See, I would have went another route and said, I'm going to do both. I'm going to take my nighttime shower, rinse my hair in the shower.
Well, that doesn't. I don't really.
I know you like to wash your hair in
I
the morning.
do,
Yeah.
because then you sleep on it and it's still it's all janky. If you know what I'm talking about, it's like
Yeah,
I
I
look
know
like-
what you're talking
I
about
look like
because I
flock
live
of
with you.
seagulls.
Yeah, or Kramer from Seinfeld.
Whoa,
Yeah,
it's pretty wicked.
that's
So-
okay. It's all good, Patty. It's all
Well, good
good.
thing you don't mind, because it's like
Coming up
woo!
on 33 years of marriage, you can
I
tell it doesn't
know.
bother me.
No,
So.
no, it doesn't. Thank goodness, because
All
it's
right.
crazy hair.
Well, we're really into this podcast, and
Yep.
we haven't even gotten to the main subject,
Well, let's
which
get to
is
the main course.
so something happened last week.
Yes,
That
actually
made
last
me,
Sunday.
Yeah, last Sunday that made me think we ought to talk about this. So some of you know that Colonel Woody and Aunt Priscilla, that's my aunt and uncle from Texas, had been up here in Indiana actually
Yeah.
for almost 2 months.
Right.
And so they headed back to Texas on Sunday, and they stopped in Indy, had lunch with my cousin, and then they continued on. They were 45 minutes from the Harvest House where they're going to
Yep.
stop, and they blew a tire on their RV.
Wah, wah, wah.
As if anything else could go wrong with that
It
RV.
seems like
I
they
know.
keep hitting all these snags. with
Hopefully
different
this is
things.
about the end.
I would hope so.
So
for
they
them, yeah.
texted me, and I don't remember the exact time. I want to say
It was still daylight.
like 5:30,
something like
and
that, yeah.
they had to pull off the side of the highway, and
wait.
and the funny thing was that morning when they left,
Yeah, this is ironic.
we were walking around their
Uh-huh.
RV, and I started looking at their tires, and I stood there for a while just staring at them because I was trying to figure out what kind they were, and I could tell they weren't Goodyear Endurance, and I started to say something, but then I thought no, because he had spent so much money
Doing other things.
doing other projects on
Upgrades
that
and
RV,
stuff,
and he'd
yeah.
had issues, and I thought, no, I don't want to bring it up. And even if I had brought it up, it wasn't like he was going to run straight to a tire shop that
Well,
day.
and he told
but-
you he had used a lot of pennies. So
Right.
Yeah, he was running out of
So,
pennies.
so anyway, I think it was about 5:30. I get a text that says we've blown a tire off the side of the highway, and our tires supposedly come with this 5-year roadside
Yeah.
assistance. So they waited and waited, couldn't get through or
Nope.
couldn't get a call back. I don't
Something
remember the
was
exact
odd,
situation.
yeah.
Finally, he called AAA because they carry AAA, and then they waited quite a while.
It's about 3 hours.
Yeah, and then he said when the gentleman actually arrived, he showed up with a tow truck. He goes, they told me you were a truck. He thought he was going to tow him to a tire shop. But the gentleman said, normally we're not supposed to change tires on the highway, but I don't want to leave you folks out here stranded. So Uncle Dennis or Colonel Woody, he goes by multiple names with
Yep.
me, he said the guy kind of parked his truck to try to shield them so that they could jack
Yes.
up. He said the guy was awesome. Got him, got the spare on, and then eventually made it to their harvest host. Spent the night. And then the next day, first stop was a tire shop
Right.
where they replaced all 4 tires.
And they said they were so nice, and
Yeah.
what kind of led them to a nice, cute little coffee shop.
Yeah. So they just asked because it was going to be a little while to change 4 tires, and
Uh-huh.
said, "Is there a place to get a cup of coffee?" And the guy said, "Yeah, just go down a block or two."
They ended up getting food.
Yeah,
and
it was
so
a
nice.
quaint little diner, and
Yeah.
Aunt Priscilla says amazing breakfast.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking. One of the things that I hadn't thought of, and I don't think Uncle Dennis or Woody had thought about, was they bought that trailer last year,
Right.
which was 2023,
Right.
but it was a 2022 model,
So those tires,
and so it had been sitting in the Texas sun for quite a while.
bacon, yeah.
And it's possible, I didn't look to see, and maybe he hasn't either, what his manufacture date. It's possible that thing was manufactured in 21.
Right. Right.
So
right,
those
right.
tires could literally be 3 years old.
And usually, unfortunately, it's not like a car. You get kind of some not so good tires.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing. I don't think the tires that were put on there are the good ones. I think these were the cheaper ones. And now a lot of your better manufacturers today have went
They
to
transitioned
the
to
Goodyear
better
Endurance.
tires. Yeah.
Yeah, our Alliance came with Goodyear Endurance tires. I think the Brinkleys are going with
Yep.
them. So, Grand Design, I believe somebody told me they're going with the better
Yeah.
tires because I think the manufacturers are getting tired of the negative publicity about the cheap tires
Yeah, they
blowing
need to do a
out.
better tire.
But so number one, you should always look at what you have on, and if your RV, honestly, we used to do this.
Right.
When we used to buy, because that's all you got years ago.
Right.
They would put on
Those-
these Chinese import tires,
Yes.
and that were known for blowing out.
Yep. And we
They'd
didn't
have
wanna
great
blow
tread
out.
on them. They'd
Yeah.
look good, but they'd blow out.
They just couldn't withstand
Yeah.
the movement.
And
the
honestly,
movement.
usually whenever we used to buy a new trailer, one of the first things I'd do is head uptown
And get some tires.
and get some quality trailer tires
Yep.
put on. Now we don't have to because they're putting the Goodyear
Right,
Endurance on
right,
on
right.
the better trailer. So that's one thing. Second thing is you do want to know how old your tires are, and you can find that. Did you know this?
No, I did not.
Yeah, if you go out, you can do this on any vehicle. You can do it on your car if you
How
want.
do I find this, dear?
So you go out, you look at your tire,
Uh-huh.
and you're going to see a long series of
I
numbers.
think I took a picture of those this fall.
Well, you took the size numbers, but
Okay.
there's going to be another series of numbers. I think there's like 13 total.
Okay.
The last 4 are going to be the month and the year that those tires were manufactured.
Okay.
And typically what they
Ah.
say with, I believe, trailer tires
Yeah.
is, 3 to 4 years is about as long as that rubber is going to hold up.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people say, like, well, we only towed our trailer 8,000 miles.
But when you
But if they're
sit
5 years old,
and then that sun bakes them.
Yeah.
And it bakes it in Indiana too. It's like it bakes them.
right.
Yeah.
So you definitely need to check how old are your tires.
Right.
I would also look at the brand of tire, and if they're
Yes.
not a reputable tire, and if you're not sure, check with your local tire shop, call them, and
Yep.
just say, hey, this is what's on my RV. Is this a good tire or
Yep.
not? And they'll probably
They'll
be
help
able
you
to.
out.
If they say I've never heard of that, if the local tire
That's a
shop,
sign.
that's probably a sign. And in fact, Uncle Woody there, I'm going to mix it up here. I call him
You are
everything. I
mixing
know.
it up. You're
So
you're
Woody,
confusing people.
yeah, Woody said, because I said, did you get Goodyear Endurance? He said, no. He asked the guy, do you have good trailer tires? He said, we only have one that we carry for trailer tires. And
You said it was their best one,
he
right?
said, yeah, he said we carry a quality tire. We don't, and so he couldn't remember what the name of them was. And there are some others out there that are quality tires besides
Sure.
Goodyear.
Right.
But I would definitely look at your tires, not only the brand, but I would look at the date they were manufactured, because it's possible you could have let's say in our case, what is ours, a 2024?
Yes.
Yeah. You could have a 2024, but if those tires have been sitting around the factory for
Yeah,
a
you
while,
don't know.
both at the manufacturer and then at the RV dealer
Right.
or manufacturer.
Then you need to.
I mean, our tires, and I'll be honest, I hate to admit this, I haven't checked ours just
We
because
need
it
to
was brand
check
new
ours.
RV.
Yeah.
But it's possible those might be 23s.
Right.
Well,
And one thing that helps us is a monitoring system. You need something that we didn't have for a long time, and then we do.
yeah. So a tire pressure monitor
Monitoring
system, or
system.
TPMS, you'll hear that. Now we run the tire minder.
Minder ones. Yeah.
That they sent us years ago. And I'll be honest, we have been using that thing now, since the Lance. So
Right.
that's, at least
Maybe
3 years
3
ago,
years
4
ago,
years
maybe.
ago. And it's worked flawlessly. It does what it needs to do, which
Right.
is nothing. Like you hope it does nothing.
I don't want it to do anything. I don't
Right.
want it to do
But
anything.
that's actually not even a fair statement, though. It has worked for us.
It has because.
So, okay, and you got a little ahead of your skis there with
Okay.
the TPMS, but I love that you knew about it. So
I know
I'm
it.
pretty excited.
Yeah.
But I was going to say before we got to that,
Okay.
one of the things you need to do is always check the pressure of your tires.
Yeah, you do that
before traveling. Now, our TPMS, so see, good segue.
See, there you go.
Will tell us when I turn the TPMS on,
Yep.
it's going to give me the readings of all 4 tires because we have a dual axle trailer.
Right.
And so you need to look on your tires or look on the sticker on your trailer that'll tell you what you should inflate your tires.
Sure.
And so before we travel, I always double check those tire pressures. And that'll help you, as far as keeping those tires in good shape. You don't want to run them too low. You definitely don't want to run them too high.
No.
The TPMS, or the tire pressure monitoring system.
That's a mouthful.
I know. It will, from here on out, I'm just referring to it as a TPMS, okay?
Okay.
But it will read and send data to, most of them come with like a little control panel
Yeah, it's easy
that
to
you put
read.
in your tow vehicle. And it will monitor. And then what it will do is it will alert you for things like a fast leak. Like if there's a lot of pressure coming out, it's going to alert you. And I have a feeling, possibly had Woody and Priscilla had a TPMS,
Yep.
they may have got some kind of
Forewarning.
and he could have pulled over and investigated the situation.
Right. Not that then they could have called for help.
Unfortunately, they don't have one because I talked them into a solar system and a Victron inverter. And so instead of telling them you should probably get the safety devices first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we had a situation last year.
Right.
It was very cold in December.
It was.
And I went out and aired up our tires before we left for Florida.
And it was so cold here.
And 2 days later, when we got into southern Georgia, our TPMS started going off for high pressure.
Right.
So what had happened was they were at the correct pressure for,
cold,
say, 30 degrees outside. By the time we got to southern Georgia, where it was still probably 80 degrees out that night,
not good.
that air had heated up in there, and our tires were up to over 95 pounds, I think it was. And so that alerted me to pull over. I let some air out of all the tires to get them back down to the proper pressure.
Then we were okay.
And then we finished the trip.
But I'm always looking at that thing because don't sometimes it'll say like NS, no signal. Is that because of a battery or
Yeah,
something?
so what it is the way most of these TPMS systems work is there are sensors, and they're easy to install, by the way. You do not need somebody to install this for you.
Nope.
You just you take off the cap on your tire stem, and then you screw a sensor on, and then that just sends a signal up to the little control monitor.
Yeah. It's easy.
And so those little sensors that you screw onto each stem of each tire, they have like basically a battery, like a watch battery in them. And so when it says NS, that means it's not reading the signal, which usually means we have a dead battery.
Right.
And honestly, I probably have only changed those batteries in the last 4 years, maybe 5 or 6 times, if that. But ours will alert you for things like high pressure, too low a pressure, a sudden release of pressure, like to where it's leaking badly. Like the slow leak, it's only going to alert you when it gets down below a certain, because it's and then usually that's who knows what's causing that.
Right.
But if there was something that was causing it to really flow out quickly, it's going to alert you right away. And the idea is for you to stop and get off the side of the road and then investigate.
Right. Yeah.
And I will say, Woody and Priscilla got lucky.
They did.
I have seen pictures of RVs that their wheel wells have been absolutely destroyed. From tires coming apart. Woody said, unlike a year ago with the Cruise America that they rented,
I know,
where they had the blown tire.
I know.
That tire came apart, and there was nothing left to it. He said this tire actually was fully intact. It just literally just blew the air out.
Yeah.
And so they got lucky that you didn't have retread flying up and doing damage.
Yeah.
And like I said, you can get TPMSs. I think ours probably, I don't even know what they run.
I have no idea.
Maybe I mean, honestly, it could be several hundred at this point, 300, let's say.
Right.
But I also know you can get off brands that might do you well.
Sure,
I haven't
absolutely.
reviewed an off brand. I'm half considering ordering one off of Amazon
Just testing it out.
just to test it out to see if because I did that with our Lifetime batteries,
Right.
where I ordered a really low price to try them out. Now we're back in those Epoch batteries, which I'm absolutely loving.
Yeah, those are great.
But I like to try out different price points because not everybody can afford a tire minder at say
Sure.
$350.
Right.
But I would still like people to have an option for safety. So
Sure.
yeah. So yeah, I think that was a good one though, Patty. I'm just impressed you knew what it was, but you
I can see
watch
that little, I watch it all the time. I'm looking at it and I'm like going, okay. I'm always seeing those numbers.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always looking at it.
So I mean, I think those are some basic things you can do.
Sure.
And I'll be honest, a lot of times when I always inspect our tires before we leave. Can I fully inspect everything about them? No. But I like to go over. One of the things I always look for is there any bulging on the sidewall?
Yeah.
I try to look as much of the tread as I can, because number one, I don't want to be going down the road with, I don't even know what our RV weighs. I think it's about 10,000 pounds.
A lot.
It weighs a lot.
She's a big girl.
I want good tread on it. She's a big girl. She's a bigger girl. She's not as big as some of them out there,
No.
Patty, but yeah.
She's a biggie girl.
Yeah. Wow, you stunned me with that one. But yeah, I like to inspect the tires. I always check the pressures. And like I said, the
do.
TPMS just makes that
Right.
so easy
Yeah, it
because
does.
it just gives us the reading.
Well, it just gives you peace of mind a little bit.
I think that's it. I mean, that's why I started to say a TPMS, if you're lucky, it never does anything.
Yeah, we don't want it to do anything.
But like I almost forgot about that last winter when it did go off. And I think we were both shocked, like, what the heck's going on? And we saw it's blinking. We could see that it was over pressure. And you set that. You put in, and if you're wondering, like, how does it know what my tires are? You do have to, on the little control panel.
You have to set it up.
You have to set it up.
Right.
But the actual installation, you're not wiring anything. I mean, literally.
I can do it.
Yeah. Our monitor plugs into a cigarette lighter.
Miss Technology Challenged. I can do it.
Yeah. And it's pretty simple.
It
and you
is.
can get them in all different sizes. Let's say you only have a single axle
Like a
trailer.
tab.
You can buy them with just 2 sensors. You can buy
Right.
them with 4 sensors.
Yep.
If you have a motorhome, you may need 8 sensors or more.
Yep.
Or if you're towing with an older vehicle that doesn't
Sure.
have like our truck has a built-in TPMS for the actual truck. So I don't need sensors on the truck. But if I had an older truck that didn't have it, I could order enough sensors.
To put them on your truck.
Yeah, because most of
Absolutely.
these will go up to a ridiculous amount of sensors they
Yeah.
will read. So
Yeah.
anyway, I just thought we should talk about it.
Sure.
Remind most of you, because if you're like me, you sometimes just forget about your tires.
Yeah.
And so I just thought after what happened to Woody and Priscilla,
Yeah.
maybe we should remind
we need to
people,
look 'em over.
check the dates on your tires, check your tire pressures, and maybe consider getting a TPMS. Like I said, we've been running Tire Minder. This isn't an ad for Tire Minder.
No, it just.
But
we've
it's
been
worked.
using
I
it.
can just say for 4 years now, at least, it's worked really well for us. But there's others out there.
Well, sure. Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
anything else on rubber you want to talk about?
No.
Okay. Well,
Aren't you cute?
well, anyway. Well, thank you to all of you for taking time to listen to us talking about rubber.
I call it jibber jabber.
Jibber jabber about rubber. That's right. The good old good years.
Yeah.
Getting you on down the road.
That's right.
And a huge shout out to our good friend and producer, Mr. Jim Kuzman,
Thank you, Jim.
who works overtime
Yes,
to
he
make sure
does.
these podcasts get out on time.
He has to listen to the jibber jabber.
Not only does he have to listen to the jibber jabber, he has to wait on us to actually
give
do
him
the
the
jibber
jibber
jabber.
jabber.
Yeah. And sometimes we
Well,
cut it a
it's
little
just
close.
been chaos.
Yeah, I think now that we're
It's going to
back
slow
home
down and get more manageable.
and I only have one job for the winter,
Yeah.
I think we'll have more time and we can
think
get these
so.
out on an earlier basis for Jim.
Absolutely.
So,
Yep.
all right. I think that's it, Patty.
I think that's it. I think it's time to wrap it up.
All right. Until next time, everybody, we'll see ya.
On down the road.
Bye.
Travels with Delaney. We'll see you on down the road.